What if I told you that we might not be the first advanced civilization to call Earth home? It sounds like science fiction, but it's a serious scientific question. Imagine Earth 100 million years ago. Dinosaurs roam the land, the continents are in different places, and the planet is a wild, untamed world. But what if, hidden somewhere in that ancient past, another species built cities, developed technology, and created a civilization only to vanish without a trace? This fascinating idea is called the Silurian Hypothesis. It was proposed by two scientists, Gavin Schmidt and Adam Frank. They asked a simple but profound question. If an industrial civilization existed millions of years ago, would we even be able to find evidence of it today? The name Silurian comes from an old Doctor Who episode featuring an intelligent reptilian species, but the hypothesis itself is grounded in real geology and chemistry. The biggest challenge is time. Earth is incredibly good at erasing its own history. Our planet's surface is constantly being recycled. Plate tectonics slowly grinds continents together, subducting old crust and creating new land. Over millions of years, this process would have completely destroyed any cities or structures. Add to that the relentless forces of erosion, volcanic eruptions, and changing sea levels. And you realize that finding a fossilized skyscraper is practically impossible. Think about our own civilization. How long would our legacy last if humanity disappeared tomorrow? Our tallest buildings would crumble into dust within a few thousand years. Our roads would be overgrown, and our cities would be reclaimed by nature. What about our plastic? It lasts longer, but over hundreds of thousands of years, it breaks down into microplastics, eventually becoming just another layer of sediment. Even our satellites in orbit would eventually fall back to Earth and burn up in the atmosphere. Scientists estimate that after just a few million years, almost no obvious direct evidence of our existence would remain. Our entire footprint would be compressed into a thin layer of rock. So if we can't find a fossilized smartphone or the ruins of an ancient alien city, how could we possibly find a lost civilization? The answer isn't in what they built, but in what they left behind in the geological record. We would have to look for indirect clues, or what scientists call technosignatures. The first place to look is in the chemistry of ancient sediments. Industrial civilization, much like our own, would probably rely on burning fossil fuels. This would release massive amounts of carbon into the atmosphere, leading to a sudden spike in global temperatures. So scientists could look for unusual warming events in the geological past that couldn't be explained by natural cycles. One such event, the Paleocene-Eocene thermal maximum, which happened about 56 million years ago, saw global temperatures soar. While it has a natural explanation, it gives us a template for what an industrial fingerprint might look like. Beyond carbon, we could search for other chemical anomalies. Think about all the artificial materials we create: plastics, synthetic fertilizers, and even long-lived pollutants. If these substances found their way into the sediment layers, they could serve as a chemical marker. We could also look for strange isotope imbalances. For example, nitrogen isotopes are affected by the widespread use of fertilizers in agriculture. A sudden unexplained shift in the ratio of nitrogen isotopes in ancient rock layers could hint at large-scale farming by a non-human civilization. This brings us to a popular question: could dinosaurs have built a civilization? It's a fun idea popularized in fiction, but the scientific answer is almost certainly no. While some dinosaurs were intelligent for their time, their brain size and body structure weren't suited for developing complex tools or technology. The Silurian Hypothesis isn't really about Dinomen. It's about the possibility of any species achieving intelligence during Earth's long history. What about all the myths and legends of lost civilizations like Atlantis or Lemuria? While these stories are captivating, they don't count as scientific evidence. The Silurian Hypothesis isn't based on ancient myths, but on hard data from geology and chemistry. It's about finding physical proof buried in the Earth's crust, not deciphering ancient texts. The timeline is also completely different. Legends of Atlantis are thousands of years old, while this hypothesis is looking back tens or even hundreds of millions of years. So why haven't we found any technology fossils? Well, most of the materials we use are geologically fragile. Metal rusts and corrodes, concrete degrades and breaks down. Even glass isn't forever. Over millions of years, these materials would revert to their mineral components. The fossil record is also notoriously incomplete. Only a tiny fraction of life ever becomes a fossil, and it's far more likely for bone to be preserved than for a technological artifact. We've only found fossils of a small percentage of all the dinosaurs that ever lived. So the odds of finding a 100-million-year-old circuit board are astronomically low. So, is it possible we're just missing the evidence? Absolutely. A huge portion of the Earth's surface is the deep ocean floor, which remains largely unexplored. These deep, cold, and low-oxygen environments might be better at preserving artifacts, but we've barely scratched the surface of what's down there. Furthermore, the oldest sections of Earth's crust that are exposed and accessible for us to study are very limited. We're getting better at analyzing geological records, but our methods are still evolving. We might be looking right at the evidence without even recognizing it yet. This whole thought experiment has a profound implication for us. It highlights just how fragile a civilization truly is. The planet doesn't really care about our accomplishments. In the grand scheme of geological time, Earth forgets quickly. Our skyscrapers, our art, our digital world, all of it could vanish, leaving behind only the faintest chemical whispers in the rock. The most long-lasting signature of our existence might actually be the damage we're causing. Our carbon emissions, our plastic pollution, and the mass extinction event we are triggering. These are the things that will be detectable millions of years from now. Our future fossil will be the story of our impact on the planet. In the end, there is currently zero evidence to support the existence of a pre-human industrial civilization. The Silurian Hypothesis remains a hypothesis, a thought experiment. But it's a scientifically valid one. It forces us to think differently about our place in the universe and expands our methods for searching for intelligence, not just on other planets, but right here beneath our feet. It's a humbling reminder that we are just one chapter in Earth's incredibly long and mysterious story. And it makes you wonder what other secrets are still buried, waiting to be discovered. Earth has been around for an incredible 4.54 billion years. That's a number so huge it's hard to even wrap your head around. Now, compare that to us. Homo sapiens, our species, has only been walking this planet for about 300,000 years. And our industrial civilization, with its cities, factories, and technology, that's barely 200 years old, if you were to squeeze all of Earth's history into a single day, our entire existence would be just a fraction of the final second before midnight. Think about that. We're a tiny blip, living in the last 0.00004% of our planet's story. It's a humbling thought, right? But it also opens up a fascinating and slightly spooky question. What happened in all that time before us? Is it possible we aren't the first advanced civilization to call this planet home? Before you say, wouldn't we have found their ruins by now? Consider this. Planet Earth is the ultimate evidence shredder. Our world is constantly changing. The ground beneath our feet is moving, a process called plate tectonics. The Earth's crust is continually being recycled. The ocean floor gets pushed under continents and melts back into magma. This happens on a cycle of about a couple 100 million years. Over these vast timescales, entire continents can get swallowed by the sea. Towering mountain ranges, bigger than the Himalayas, can be worn down to nothing but dust by wind and rain. Glaciers can scrape landscapes clean, burying everything under miles of ice. Given enough time, nature is incredibly efficient at erasing things. A city made of concrete and steel might seem permanent to us, but to geological time, it's as temporary as a sandcastle. So, if a civilization existed, say, 100 million years ago, what would be left of it? Their cities would be long gone, ground into sediment and buried miles deep. Their monuments would have eroded away, their bodies would have fossilized. Finding a specific fossil from a specific time is like finding a needle in a global haystack. The geological record is like a book with most of its pages ripped out. We only have fragments. This isn't a conspiracy theory. It's a genuine scientific puzzle. It's called the Silurian Hypothesis, named after a classic Doctor Who episode. But it's a serious thought experiment proposed by real scientists. They ask, if an industrial civilization existed in the deep past, what kind of signature would it leave behind that could survive for millions of years? It probably wouldn't be a statue. It would be more subtle. They suggest looking for chemical fingerprints. A past industrial age might have left a spike of unusual carbon isotopes in sediment layers, a result of burning massive amounts of fossil fuels, just like we are doing now. Or maybe they left behind strange synthetic plastics that don't break down easily, or even traces of radioactive elements from nuclear events. These are the kinds of clues that could potentially withstand the test of deep time. So far, we haven't found any definitive proof. The evidence we see, like past warming events, can all be explained by natural causes. But the absence of evidence isn't evidence of absence. The Earth's past is still a vast, unexplored territory. We're only just beginning to learn how to read its most ancient stories. Thinking about this really changes how you see our own civilization. We feel so permanent, so dominant. But we could just be one chapter in a much, much longer book. It makes you wonder, if another civilization was here before us, what happened to them? Did they leave the planet? Did they get wiped out by a natural disaster? Or did they, perhaps, collapse under the weight of their own success? Changing the planet's climate until it could no longer support them, it's a powerful warning. It forces us to think about our own legacy, not just for the next 100 years, but for the next million. What trace will we leave behind for the eons to come? Will it be a layer of plastic and carbon in the rock, a warning sign for whoever or whatever comes next? This isn't science fiction, and it's not a conspiracy theory. It's a serious scientific thought experiment known as the Silurian Hypothesis. Now, before your mind jumps to ancient aliens, let's be clear. The scientists who came up with this idea, Adam Frank and Gavin Schmidt, weren't asking if aliens built the pyramids. Their question was much more profound. If an industrial civilization existed on Earth millions of years ago, long before humans, would we even be able to find any evidence of it today? Think about it. What would be left of our world in, say, 10 million years? Our towering skyscrapers? They'd crumble to dust in less than 10,000 years. Our vast networks of roads? Gone in 5,000? Even the satellites we've flung into orbit would deorbit and burn up in less than a century. The things we think are permanent are actually incredibly fragile on geological timescales. Even our plastics, which we worry about lasting forever, don't fossilize well. They just break down into smaller and smaller microplastics, eventually becoming a nearly invisible chemical trace in the sediment. The hard truth is, after just 1 million years, nearly every direct trace of our existence would be wiped clean. After 10 million years, it would be as if we were never here. The surface of the Earth is constantly changing. Erosion, subduction, glaciation. These powerful geological forces are like a planetary-scale data wipe, constantly resurfacing and rewriting the Earth's crust. So, if a civilization rose and fell 60 million years ago during the Paleocene epoch, their cities, their factories, their monuments would all be long gone, vanished without a trace. This leads to a mind-bending question. If we can't find their cities, where should we look? Well, we have to think like geologists. We can't search for artifacts. We have to search for traces, for shadows left in the rock. Instead of looking for a needle in a haystack, we need to look for the chemical footprint of an entire civilization. For example, an industrial society would likely burn massive amounts of fossil fuels. This would release huge quantities of carbon into the atmosphere, changing its isotopic composition. That change would then be recorded in the sediments at the bottom of the ocean, a chemical signature that could last for millions of years. And guess what? Geologists have found several of these rapid carbon spikes in Earth's history, events called hyperthermals. The most famous one is the Paleocene thermal maximum, or PETM, which happened about 56 million years ago. During the PETM, global temperatures soared, and a massive amount of carbon was released into the atmosphere. The cause is still a mystery. Could it have been a Silurian civilization? Probably not. The carbon released during the PETM, while huge, appears to have happened over a few thousand years, which is too slow for an industrial society like ours. Our carbon release is happening over centuries, which is almost instantaneous in geological terms. So while the evidence doesn't point to an ancient industrial civilization just yet, the Silurian hypothesis forces us to see our own impact in a new light. It reframes our own era, the Anthropocene, not just as a period of environmental change, but as a geological event. We are leaving a permanent mark on the planet, a layer in the rock that will be detectable for eons. Perhaps the true legacy of our civilization won't be our art or our cities, but a thin, strange layer of rock that tells a story of carbon, plastics, and sudden change. It makes you wonder, will a future civilization millions of years from now dig down and find us? Could the Earth itself hold the secret signature of a lost civilization? Forget ruins and relics? About 56 million years ago, Earth experienced a massive sudden spike in global temperatures. This event, known as the Paleocene thermal maximum, or PETM, saw a huge amount of carbon released into the atmosphere, warming the planet dramatically. What's fascinating is that the carbon was released much faster than what we expect from normal geological processes like volcanoes. Scientists believe it was most likely a natural event, perhaps caused by massive methane releases from the ocean floor. But the speed of that carbon release looks eerily similar to what our own industrial civilization is doing today. It's a striking parallel. Could this ancient warming event be a whisper from a long-gone industrial past? Well, probably natural. It's a spooky coincidence that makes you wonder. But what if the evidence isn't a heat spike, but a chemical ghost? Imagine a civilization far more advanced than ours, one that didn't build with stone, but with complex synthetic materials. If such a society existed, what would it leave behind? The clues wouldn't be pyramids, but pollutants. Think about our own footprint. In millions of years, our skyscrapers will be dust, but the chemical traces of our existence might linger. Geologists of the future could find strange layers in the rock filled with things that nature doesn't make on its own. They might discover plastics that have fossilized into a new type of rock. They could detect unusual isotope ratios from nuclear activities or massive spikes in heavy metals like cadmium and mercury, signs of long-dead batteries and electronics. This is the Silurian Hypothesis in action. A civilization's true legacy might be the trash it leaves buried in the Earth's crust. It's a humbling thought, isn't it? Our grandest achievements might vanish, but our pollution could be eternal. A permanent stain telling a future intelligence that we were here. This line of thinking forces us to redefine what we're looking for. Instead of searching for ancient cities, maybe we should be searching for ancient landfills. Geologists Adam Frank and Gavin Schmidt, the minds behind this hypothesis, suggest we look for these unusual chemical signals in sediment cores from deep beneath the ocean floor or from ancient rock layers. These cores are like Earth's history books, trapping records of the planet's atmosphere and environment for hundreds of millions of years. A sudden, bizarre spike in synthetic molecules or rare metals within one of these ancient layers could be the smoking gun, the undeniable proof of a predecessor. It's a search that turns geology into a detective story, where the crime scene is the entire planet and the mystery is billions of years old. We haven't found such a definitive signal yet, but the search has only just begun. The Earth has many more stories to tell if we only know how to listen. So, let's bring it all together. Question isn't just are we alone in the universe, but are we alone in time on our own planet? The Silurian Hypothesis doesn't give us a definitive yes or no. Instead, it offers a profound new perspective. It suggests that a civilization could rise, flourish, and vanish so completely that the only evidence left is a faint chemical whisper in the rock. A momentary fever in the planet's climate, or perhaps nothing at all. It's a reminder of our own fragility. A technologically advanced civilization could exist and disappear without a trace. What does that say about our own chances for long-term survival? Our current civilization has existed for a mere blink of an eye in geological terms. We are creating our own signals in the rock right now, the plastics, the carbon, the forever chemicals. We are writing our own message for the far future. The ultimate question the Silurian Hypothesis leaves us with is this: will our message be a story of wisdom and longevity? Or just another strange, unexplained anomaly in the Earth's ancient rock, a warning to whoever comes next? What do you think? Could there have been another intelligent species on Earth millions of years ago? And what kind of legacy are we creating for the geologists of the distant future? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. This is a topic that bends the mind, and I'd love to hear your theories. What if I told you that our human story, with all its triumphs and technologies, might just be the latest chapter in Earth's very long book? What if millions of years before us, another civilization rose and fell? We've explored the geological traces and the faint chemical whispers they might have left behind. But today, let's tackle an even bigger question. Could that ancient civilization have been non-human? Let's start with the most famous rulers of ancient Earth, the dinosaurs. They dominated this planet for an astonishing 165 million years. To put that into perspective, modern humans have only been around for about 300,000 years. That's a massive window of opportunity for something incredible to happen. Some dinosaurs, like the Truden, had relatively large brains for their body size, leading some to speculate. Could they have been intelligent? Could they have formed societies, developed language, and built a civilization? It's a fascinating idea, but when we look at the fossil record, the story gets complicated. For all those millions of years, we've found zero evidence of dinosaur-made tools, no fossilized cities, no remnants of large-scale industry. We find bones, footprints, and eggs, but nothing that screams civilization. This points to a crucial distinction. Intelligence alone doesn't automatically lead to building a civilization. Think about it. Dolphins are incredibly intelligent, but they haven't built underwater cities or harnessed geothermal vents for power. Building a civilization as we understand it seems to require a specific cocktail of abilities. You need to control and harness massive amounts of energy, like fire or electricity. You need the physical ability to make and use complex tools. Hands with opposable thumbs are a game changer. You need to organize into highly complex social structures. You need to fundamentally reshape your environment on a massive scale. Dinosaurs, for all their long reign and potential intelligence, might not have had this complete toolkit. Their evolutionary path simply took a different direction. So, if it wasn't dinosaurs, who could it have been? And if they were advanced, why can't we find their tools? We always imagine ancient civilizations leaving behind stone arrowheads or pottery. But what if a truly advanced species skipped the Stone Age entirely? What if their technology was based on materials that don't last? Think about it. Our modern world is built on metals, plastics, and composites. Most of these materials would corrode, degrade, and vanish far faster than a simple stone tool. Imagine a civilization that built with sophisticated polymers or biodegradable metals. After 60 million years of geological pressure, heat, and chemical reactions, what would be left? Probably nothing. Their skyscrapers would have turned to dust, their electronics would have dissolved, their global networks would be nothing more than a faint, ambiguous chemical layer in the rock. It's a mind-bending thought. The more technologically advanced a civilization is, the less likely its physical artifacts might be to survive across geological time. High-tech doesn't mean long-lasting. This leads us to a humbling realization. We search for clues of ancient life by looking for things similar to our own history stone, bone, and fossils. But we might be looking for the wrong signs altogether. The evidence of a truly ancient, advanced civilization might not be in a museum artifact, but in a strange anomaly in an ice core sample, or an unusual chemical spike in a billion-year-old rock sediment. The silence in the fossil record doesn't necessarily mean no one was here. It might just mean they were so different, so advanced, that their story is written in a language we are only just beginning to learn how to read. The story of our planet is far from complete, and as we continue to dig deeper, both into the Earth and into our own understanding of what's possible, we have to stay open to the idea that we might not be the first to call this planet home. The universe is full of mysteries, and some of the biggest ones might be buried right under our feet. But what about the 70% of our planet covered by oceans? The vast, unexplored deep, here S, a mind-bending fact. Most of the ocean floor is less than 200 million years old. Tectonic plates are constantly recycling the Earth's crust, subducting old seafloor back into the mantle, and creating new crust at mid-ocean ridges. This means any evidence of a civilization that existed on the ocean floor hundreds of millions of years ago would have been literally swallowed by the Earth itself. We've explored more of Mars than we have our own ocean depths. Entire histories, entire civilizations could be buried beneath kilometers of water and sediment, forever lost to this geologic conveyor belt. Then there's the fossil record itself. We tend to think of it as a complete library of Earth's history, but it's more like a few random, torn pages. Fossilization is an incredibly rare event. It requires specific conditions, rapid burial, the right kind of sediment, and a lack of oxygen. The vast majority of life that has ever existed left absolutely no trace. Think about it. Out of all the billions of organisms that have lived, only a tiny fraction became fossils. So, if a civilization was short-lived, say a few thousand years, and didn't use materials that preserve well, their chances of leaving a fossil are almost zero. The absence of evidence isn't necessarily evidence of absence. This brings us to a humbling thought. What will our own legacy look like in the deep future? If humanity were to disappear tomorrow, what would future geologists find? In just a few thousand years, our cities would be little more than strange mounds, reclaimed by forests. In 100,000 years, erosion would have ground down most of our concrete and steel. After millions of years, almost everything we've built would be gone. The most enduring sign of our existence might be a thin, dark line in the rock layers, a human layer rich in plastics, strange isotopes from nuclear events, and a sudden spike in carbon, marking our brief, fiery reign on this planet. Our entire civilization, our art, our history, our dreams, all compressed into a single, silent stratum of rock. And that's the ultimate lesson from deep time. It's a profound warning. Civilizations, even those with planetary impact, can rise quickly. But they can also vanish completely, erased by the very geological forces of the planet that gave them birth. The Earth doesn't remember names, doesn't preserve flags or philosophies. It only records impacts, changes in the chemistry of the air, the water, and the rock. So, in the end, is there any concrete evidence of a lost advanced civilization before humans? The scientific answer is no, not a single shred. But the Silurian Hypothesis forces us to confront a far more unsettling and profound truth. The real takeaway isn't that another intelligent species might have come before us. It's the chilling realization that a civilization can exist, thrive, and then vanish so completely that it leaves behind nothing but a whisper in the geological record. The Earth teaches us that we too are temporary, and that one day, even we may be forgotten. Thanks for watching.